Hello. It is actually Saturday night, the 6th, but I'm going to attempt to make a post for my birthday tomorrow, July 7th, Sunday. And I've been celebrating with friends actually today. My brother and a couple of other friends came over and spent the afternoon with me, listening to music, watching video, talking, vibing, having good vibrations, good feelings. Actually, um, when my brother came over, I was across the street at my neighbors, one of the neighbors who I like all my neighbors, but some of my neighbors are really solid and some of them are really problems, okay? So my good friend, neighbor Gary, I just popped over and sat out front with him, told him it was my birthday the coming day, and we celebrated. Um, and my brother came over while I was doing that and popped over and met my neighbor he had not before. And so it's been a good vibration day. Um, I'm having late night just sip. Even when I sip coffee, depending, I can fall asleep. Just I don't know. I could try to reflect on some things about being, not thinking I would, didn't. I can still recall. I think most people do spend a fair amount of time looking back in your past, as well as trying to live in the now and the future. And I can still remember like it was yesterday, when I was concerned at 17 and 18 if I would still even be alive at 50. And here I am, turning 64. Like that Beatles song. I wanted to take a moment and didn't really prepare anything. I've only played a couple of things vinyl, and so I'll show those. But in honor of my own self and my birthday, I wanted to show this record that I put out. That was put out, a co-release by In Fact Records out of Greece, the Kinetic label. And it's a compilation of some older recordings of mine. Most are only available here. It's called Myths and Realities. I really don't know if this is still available in Greece, the American. We put it out in a total edition of 300 copies, 150 on blue splatter vinyl and 150 on gray. And this is the blue here. I forget which one. We made a deal and I split the cost with them. And I handled the American, and I think the Americans were gray, and those sold out right away. I'll leave, if I can, I'm sure I have a link still to this record label. You know, if you're interested in seeing if it's still available, find out. I don't know if it is, but this is one of those things that I always wanted to happen. Besides putting my own records out, having records released by labels and having it done in a nice way. Yeah, this is 180 gram vinyl, and the limited edition, so I think is very cool. So this might be something for you to look for by me. Myths and Realities. Me and my toothless self. The last couple of records I played, now actually this one I just talked about. I hadn't even played it, but I was watching a documentary, I think last night or so, on thrash metal. And they were just going through a bunch of bands, and I was remarking to myself how many of them I knew of, and some that I had actually played with. And one was this band DRI, Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. Played with them twice on this tour in the 80s, about 87, and I just played with them last year. They came through town on tour. Spike signed it for me when I picked it up at the show. It was a great show. It was wild. It was one of those experiences where I really felt the energy of being a part of the punk rock community. It was just really an excellent night, excellent show. I used to have their early album, the one with the cool illustration. I sold it, but I still like this. I mainly keep it as a memento. Now, what I did play all the way through this morning, at first I had it on the wrong speed and then had to switch it to 45. Fantastic. Actually, it was last night. I listened to it, Friday night. Not exactly a Friday night party album, but Popol Vuh. Sei still wis ich bin. Ich bin. I'd have to look up what that means. This music is just it's spiritual and not even reflective. It's because a lot of this album is more it's energetic, actually. It's spiritual and celebratory in a way. I have to look up what the words mean. But Florian Fricke, and then on this album from Amundul, my friend Renate Knaup from Amundul 2. She recently left Facebook, got fed up with it. I wasn't sure exactly what she didn't like about it, but we became friends a couple of years ago. I befriended her kind of as a fanboy. Next thing you know, she's reading my posts and vibing with my sensibilities, my concerns about everything. And so she starts writing me, and we actually become friends. I love that. That's one of the things that maybe I can say I'm reflecting on. I always make it a point to, on my birthday, to take a moment to think a birthday thought. You know, even though it's just another day, chronologically, a number has turned over, and we keep track of things like that. So, can I assign any meaning to this passing of time? So I always try to reflect on getting older and just stuff, you know, and I try as much as I can to keep a center of gratitude. Like I've said recently in videos, I have a lot of anger and concern about things all the time. I have depression that I don't always feel depressed, but it's there. You know, I've been living with it all my life, so I'm just used to it. But I have a lot of acceptance, which leads to a lot of good time. Most every day, there's just something I can say is good, you know. And so therefore I'm grateful. And as I'm alive at this age and thinking about mortality, it's just something that also comes with age. I'm grateful. I'm looking at my old cell phone, which is not hooked up or anything, and yet I just saw that it's pulsing there, and then the screen will just turn itself on. It's like, see, it will just do this on its own, and then it'll open itself up like something swipes it from the inside. Now you can see the screen is damaged, so I decided a long time ago that, you know, whatever is going on, I don't know what it is, and it could literally be something internal about the damaged screen. It's not hooked up to the internet or Wi-Fi or anything. And yet, at times, it appears that someone is attempting to access my phone. As I look at it here and I see that little light pulsing, it's like, is the fucking thing receiving? You know, is someone trying to hack this thing? Isn't life interesting? You know, The Age of Big Brother, 1984. I read that book, among others, when I was a kid. Don't remember a lot of the details, but the whole premise of 1984 and some other science fiction books. There were other science fiction books when I was a kid that predicted the internet. I mean, computers were around in the 60s, but this idea that there was going to be this screen presence in every home, central to every home, where information comes and goes, but that it's also keeping tabs on you. That idea, I read that as a teen, And so all this bullshit, with our phones always listening, bots, whether, bots that are programmed to, activate certain hot words and phrases and shit. Strange, crazy world. A little bit more music. Jackson Del Rey of the band 17 Pygmies. Years ago, I've been doing this. I was just again reflecting. I'm turning 64. I've been doing this about 10 years, so I was 55, 56 when I started doing these, and it's been a long time. And over the years, I've had a lot of different contacts at different times from all kinds of people. And this artist, Jackson Del Rey, who I had known about and have some of his music, got a hold of me some years ago and said he wanted to send me some 17 Pygmies music. And he sent me several of these beautiful CDs of theirs where they package them beautifully. They put these sealed, see how that is on the back? And it's a beautiful textured type of paper. I love music, but I also love it when I love the art aspect of the physical product of music as opposed to just downloads and stuff. And I was listening to this. It had been a while. There's an ambient repetitiveness to this. There's a story that the music goes along to. I found myself skipping over some of the things which just, they got to a certain point and then they just kind of percolate. And then there's other pieces on here that were really, really worked well. Guitar, organ, percussion, female vocals, nice. So let me just, the only other record that I have that I haven't, I can talk about this right quick. I'm not going to stay on long, so I want to say hello. John Dawson sent this to me recently. Radian, On, Off, Dark, Silent. Popped this on again a couple nights ago, and I played side 2. And that was the way I said, okay. So, these guys, it takes them till side 2 to get going. The comparison to the band Tortoise still stands. Like I say, it's a little more skimpy. A lot of space. Skeletal also comes to mind. But it's like, I started to get into this, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is all right. Radian. If I just grab something right quick over here before I go to randomly speak about something. I haven't spoken about them for a long time, but I do relate to English music a lot, even though I've never been to England. And I love XTC. I've got a ton of their singles. They have a ton of singles, so I don't have them all, but I have a lot. And English Settlement is an excellent album. I also saw them. I saw them on the Black Sea tour. My bag is beat, but I saw XTC on this tour. I have a bootleg recording of it. A ex-friend of mine, someone who I kind of had to say goodbye to in my life, recorded it. We have a lot of history, but there comes a time in life when some people are just a bit toxic, and it's like, well, that's enough of that. You know what I'm saying? I still love those people. I wrote that recently on Facebook, and almost no one could say that they were trying to do it, but I love the people that I don't like. Even President Trump, I don't like him, but I love him as a human being. I do. I don't like him. And so I have people who are friends of mine, and we just got to a point where our relationship was just, this is shit, this is no good. So you have to say goodbye. And one of those friends was the one that recorded XTC. Drums and Wires. I've got two copies of this, a German pressing and Canadian. No, U.S. pressing and a German pressing. And I love XTC, and I love good pop music. But my taste is not predictable. I am familiar with the greats of all the greats. But there are particular artists where it is assumed that that's an artist that I'm going to really like. And I have issues with them. And one of them, two of them, and over the years I've talked about it, two of them are the Rolling Stones, who I do like and love, but also have had a love-hate relationship with, and the Velvet Underground / Lou Reed, and that whole ilk. I completely understand it, and actually, to set the record straight, if I've never said it before, I can still recall as a teen the first time I heard the Velvet Underground. It was on underground radio. Somehow, someone got a deal where we were getting recordings from underground radio from the coast. And I was hearing stuff like that on the radio. Pink Floyd, Mothers of Invention, Velvet Underground. And I heard those songs about heroin on the radio. And I still remember my first reaction. I still remember hearing it because, being raised by parents who are musicians, they taught me a lot about recognizing music and when people can play and when they can't. And you can express yourself without playing, but I could immediately hear that the Velvet Underground as a group could barely play. But there was a very edgy intensity to what they were doing that I felt and caught, but it was like, did I want to do music like that? No. Did it inspire me? I think it did, but I was a Beatles versus Stones sort of kid. It's like I like music, good musicianship. And as I've said many times, it's the total picture much more important to me than the words. And Lou Reed with his words and Bob Dylan with his words, I recognize it, and all the people with their words I recognize. But that still doesn't make really, ultimately, a big difference to my personal experience with music. I respect it in the large picture of history in music. But music is what's important to me, and so yeah, the Velvet Underground and John Cale and Lou Reed and stuff, I just have some of the music, but no, I know what I like, and at that time, stuff like Silver Apples, I was picking up on that, and at that time, another band that I don't have them, they're in the closet, so I can't grab the records, but Quicksilver Messenger Service was another band that early on inspired me. Something about their jams. It's like they couldn't play the blues for nothing, and so therefore it was this other mutated sort of sound, and that's what I liked. And John Cipollita's vibrato, really intense vibrato on the guitar, that was something I tried to learn how to do, as opposed to like learning blues licks, was that vibrato. Anyway, it's my birthday, and I just got an order. It was nice. Someone just bought a copy of Nice. I'll just say it, if you, would like to offer some support or like a present of some sort, buy a download or just, send me, some people did. I said it on Facebook, and I don't feel any reason to be ashamed to say it. Hey, tomorrow's my birthday. I'm usually low on cash. You want to send me a gift, send it to my PayPal. I left my email, and a couple folks have sent me a couple bucks. I appreciate it. If you'd like to, that'd be cool too. All right, I'm going to upload this.